last year, the Seoul Philharmonic Orchestra picked Wilson Ng, our guest for today's Touch Base in Seoul, as its newest associate conductor, beating over 100 other candidates. Before coming to Seoul from Hong Kong, he'd already started building a colourful career belying his young age. He began as a talented classical flutist, but later discovered his passion for conducting. He founded the Gustav Mahler Orchestra in Hong Kong, which he began with some friends, but quickly established itself in the classical music scene, providing a platform to nurture young and local talent. To tell us more about his career and how he came to Seoul, I'm delighted to say that he joins us now in the studio. Welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
I have to say, one of the first things that strikes me when I see you is how young you look for a conductor. Normally, when we think of a classical music conductor, in my mind anyway, we think of an older, more senior figure in front of the orchestra. But I understand you're only 31 years old now?
Yes, I am 31. I think we have this image. Everybody has this image. Even myself has the image of old maestro. But it's true that every old maestro come from a young maestro. So yeah, I'm glad that I'm still young.
And you've already achieved so much as well. Before you were a conductor, as you said, you were an up-and-coming flutist in Hong Kong, and actually quite a successful one at that, if I understand correctly. In 2013, you became the first local flutist to host a solo recital at the Hong Kong Art Festival. But I read that you felt playing the flute perhaps wasn't enough for you.
Yes, I always loved symphonic music more than being a soloist. So that was one of my biggest initiatives to change from flutist and becoming a conductor. Because, as a flutist, you get a very good position in the orchestra, which is the middle of the orchestra, and enjoying your colleagues playing. But how good your playing is, or how you play, doesn't really influence the whole symphony structure that much. And I always have this symphony opinion of a symphony in me, even when I was a flutist, and the sound of an orchestra as well. So I felt that at the end, around 8 years ago, I thought maybe I would like to try to, manipulate the sound of a symphony orchestra.
So 8 years ago, is that when you first picked up the conductor's baton?
Yes, 8 years ago.
Okay, and how was that like? What was that first experience like?
Well, I'm very grateful for the friends who played with me 8 years ago. I'm sure they suffer a lot. That was why I started my own orchestra, the Gustav Mahler Orchestra in Hong Kong. But I felt, there was something that I was expecting, which was very exciting, modify, using your own hands, which you don't really make sound, but you modified how people played, and you influence the music from your body language. That was something I thought it was beautiful to do.
So that's how you first started then? You got some friends together because you wanted to try it. That's quite a radical approach, it seems like.
Well, not only I wanted to be a conductor, that's why I get together with a bunch of friends, because I thought it would be very irresponsible to be, to have so many people suffering just for your own ego. So I was thinking that, I also have some imagination of how concert can be, because we of course we do need a lot of serious high artistic level concerts, but I think it's also important for me, somebody who is not from a musical family, that we want to share this beauty, just like a cake that you want to, when you got a recipe that it tastes good, you just want to share with as many as people you want. And I found I have some extra idea or out of the box idea to plan a concert and how to concertize it. So that's the other reason I started the Gustav Mahler Orchestra. We do a lot of out of the box concert. For example, we play in a Buddha temple. Usually we play in a church, but Buddha temple, and with a very specific program, with a composer who has no religion attachment as well. And we also planned audience in our orchestra. It was called Musicians Without Borders. So musicians, I mean the audience get to sit right next to the musician while we are performing a symphony, and we can feel the energy and concentration and different position in an orchestra of each musicians, and actually it's like a society.
That sounds fascinating. That's the kind of idea I think that could only perhaps come from a younger generation, a new kind of generation, trying to break the mold of what's been done before. And then your orchestra, as you said, you only started with just a few friends, but then it very quickly grew in Hong Kong, didn't it?
Yes. Well, we were... Before the coronavirus, the season before the coronavirus, we had like 33 concerts in the year. And we have been cooperating with the Hong Kong Arts Festival, and we were invited actually to Busan in Korea to participate in a international music festival. So yeah, a lot were going on before the virus.
Then your story brings you to Seoul. In 2019, you were selected to join the Seoul Philharmonic Orchestra to be an associate conductor. I understand you are one of over 100 people who applied, but you were selected in a unanimous decision. Can you tell us about how you came to do that, how you came to join the Seoul Philharmonic?
Well, the Seoul Philharmonic has always been one of my favorite orchestra, not only because I was a big fan of the music director back then, Chung Myung-hoon, but also the orchestra was doing so well of their archive of their concerts, and most of the most famous pieces are actually played by the Seoul Philharmonic on YouTube. So I have been hearing their orchestra for a very long time, and when they have this position opening, and now I know that actually it's the second time they open the position, because the first time they couldn't find anybody, so they extended the search internationally. That's why I heard about the search of associate conductor position. And when I heard about this, I was very excited because I get to work with this orchestra. And but I was very unsure about it because I was just graduating. I went to study in Berlin at that time, and I was just graduating. So I thought, why not give it a try, Because the first round is always, like any conducting competition, we always send a video. And it's to see if you got selected. And I got selected to fly all the way to Seoul to audition live with the orchestra. So I said, I must go. And I was in Seoul less than 24 hours for the audition. I was flying from Berlin, and then at the counter, it was funny because they were asking me, "Sir, do you really not have a luggage?" I said, yes, I don't. I'm just going there for less than 24 hours, and I have to fly back because I had other concerts in Berlin.
Sure.
Yeah. No.
And how has the experience been so far? I know it's been a difficult period, especially with the coronavirus since the beginning of this year. That might have limited your opportunities to actually conduct in front of an audience. But how's it been?
Well, it has been wonderful. As I was saying earlier, music, as I believed, sometimes need to be out of the box. But I also believe that music, it has to be in the box sometimes. It has classical music, especially orchestral music. There are so many boundaries, actually, acoustic boundaries. We have to have a certain kind of silence to appreciate, a certain kind of concentration, togetherness, the concentration, and in a concert hall in order to appreciate something that long, a symphony of 1 hour, But this has, in the Seoul Philharmonic, has always been providing this opportunity for me to make this kind of high-level, high-quality music. And last year, of course, before the coronavirus, I have enjoyed that. But even during the coronavirus, we were able to give a lot of online concerts. And I was able to conduct when Osmo Vanska, our music director, was absent. And I just had my subscription concert with audience after the second wave of the coronavirus. And it went very well, and I was very grateful that we have our audience with us.
Yes, I understand it also featured another recent guest of ours, Esther Yu, violinist.
Yes.
I'm glad that all went well, and I'm glad you're able to perform in front of an audience. It must be something you always wanted to do here in Korea, right?
Yes, we have done that quite a lot last year, but this year is a particular chance, and we always appreciate that to have a live audience. It's not about just music making, but breathing together, and listening to the silence and to feel different things in the same room. I think it's a very different, special experience.
Talking about the coronavirus, I understand you had a difficult journey to Germany recently for a competition, the Mahler competition, an international competition for young conductors aged under 35. You almost didn't make it, right?
I just arrived like 30 minutes before I have to conduct.
Because you were stuck in the airport for 2 days, I hear.
Yeah, that is true. And but after this competition, I mean, the third prize means something, of course. But I think the whole experience means much more than the competition itself, the prize itself. And I feel like I can do anything now because I went through a very
kind of difficult experience.
Exactly, and to deliver. It was very, very hard.
Exactly. Coming third in that competition must have been very rewarding for you. We're running out of time. There's so much more I want to talk about with you. But what's your goals then next as a musician? You're here in Seoul. What more do you want to do and where do you want to go next? I understand you are still the artistic director for the Mahler Orchestra in the Gustav Mahler Orchestra in Hong Kong.
In Hong Kong. I think I would like to further develop my professional career here in Korea. And with Seoul Philharmonic, I just wish we can stay in such a good relationship as long as possible, because I really enjoy working with this orchestra and the musicians, and the Korean musicians especially. They have the right balance, I think, of how emotion and discipline, which requires for classical music playing. So I just wish I can unlock more symphonies with the Korean musicians.
Well, it's been great to have you on the show today. We've been speaking to Wilson Ng, the associate conductor for the Seoul Philharmonic Orchestra. Thank you for coming in today and sharing with us your story.
Thank you for having me.